How do you help people find their voice, Emmy, to speak up for themselves when something is bothering them and they're afraid to say something and rock the boat?
Yeah, that's a huge one because it can be really scary when you don't know how the other person's going to react to what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And so, to be honest, Amy, I do kind of a process where we get to that I feel like that's a second level work, because in order to truly be able to kind of stand in confidence and say, this is what I need, this is what I want, you kind of have to do this pre-work of nourishing yourself, taking care of any wounds that you may still be holding on to, dealing with your emotional baggage, recognizing your past behavior and patterns and why you do what you do, why you make the choices you make, so that when you do finally come to this point of wanting to speak with your partner about what you want and deserve, you have already done all of the processing and reflecting about yourself first, and you're aware of all those things. It just brings this extra sense of confidence because you now understand yourself. And you know now that you're not just saying it to say it, you're saying it because it's a truth. And when we can distinguish what we think we want just based on like our past behavior versus what we know to be true, it's a lot easier to then state a boundary and hold it because it's in your body now. It's like, this is true for me. It's not just what I think I might want or need. And so when we do the work first and then get to that point, I have this little communication formula that I typically advise people to try out. And you don't have to try it on your romantic partner. You can try it on anybody that maybe you want to set a boundary with. But I find that it's best to first kind of validate what the other person thinks and feels and say, I understand that you get annoyed if I do this or when I say this. And then so you validate how the other person feels, because let's face it, human beings are not going to listen to you unless they feel listened to and unheard.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not saying excuse their behavior, but what I'm saying is acknowledge the feeling, because everybody has their own feelings and they're not wrong. Your feelings are your feelings, whatever they are. Mm-hmm. And it just is what it is. They're just there. So acknowledge, validate the feeling. And then you can state their behavior and why it's a problem or why it bothers you. You can say, it makes me feel unimportant and belittled when you yell at me out of anger, or whatever it is that you want to state. So validate their feelings, state their behavior so that they're even aware of what they're doing. Some people think for some reason that when you're in a relationship, you're telepathic. That's not a thing. So you need to make sure you state what it is. And then you want to give them a solution. So a lot of people will end there and they'll just say, like, these are all my problems. Okay, fix it, deal with it. Now you can say, I would really appreciate if the next time we were having a conversation, if you feel yourself getting angry and that you're going to yell, just step off into the other room, or I will leave the room until we can calm back down. That's like a very generic example, but you're giving a consequence. Not like you're punishing a person, but you're telling them, this is what I'm going to do the next time this happens. I'm telling you in advance. That's step one. Step two is probably the harder one. So it takes a lot of courage to state that boundary, but the second part is the most important, which is to actually maintain it. Do what you said you were going to do the next time. And you have to do it consistently, because people like to push and see how much they can get away with. It's not just kids that do that. It's adults too.
Yeah.
And so you're teaching people what you will accept and what you won't accept. And that's not saying that you should never compromise and be reasonable and bend, and you shouldn't be barking out orders, this is what I want. No, it's not about that. It's just about being clear. It's about communicating what you want and need, how you feel, and then telling them, this is what is going to happen if this behavior happens again.